Throughout human history, flags and standards have been ways for countries to identify themselves. Armies that marched onto a battlefield would hold their standards high to declare themselves. On Aetheris and the worlds beyond, it's no different. Most nations, guilds and factions have a standard of some sort. Let's explore some of them now, and what they mean to the ones who hold them. We begin with the city-states of Eorzea. The flag of Limsa is simple and striking with its black over red. The longboat it depicts pays homage to the sea wolf buccaneers, who sailed the Galadian south from the northern seas, ending up on Vilebrand and founded the city of Limsa. The red backdrop represents blood, that of friends and shipmates who have fallen, and also serves to represent the dark and violent past of the city-state. Venturing over to mainland Eorzea, we visit Gridania in the Black Shroud. The flag of Gridania has a simple colour scheme, but ones that represent peace and communion. The white lily at the centre of the standard represents mankind's first communion with the elementals of the Twelves Wood. The two entwined serpents represent the Hyur and Elizin. It's a symbol that dates back all the way to ancient Gelmora, symbolizing unity between the two peoples and their raising of the city-state of Gridania. The golden backdrop symbolizes the abundant land of the Twelves Wood, filled with the power of the elementals, from which the Gridanians respectively reap the bounty. Travelling by Chocobo into Thanalan, we have the Jewel of the Desert. Ul'dah's standard was designed to represent the vast riches of their city-state and the ideals they represent. The central symbol of the standard are the golden scales, which is weighing the jewel of prosperity and the flame of might, two elements that must be in balance for Ul'dah to thrive. This symbol itself predates modern day Ul'dah, originating from its long gone precursor, the nation of Belladia. In those days, the scales weighed power and wisdom. When Belladia fell, and the twin states of Ul'dah and Sildee were born, each took one sigil from this ancient symbol, Ul'dah the flame, and Sildee the grapes of knowledge. The scales also have a modern day connection with Nal Thal, Ul'dah's patron deity of the 12. Travelling up north into snowy Coerthas, we have the city-state of Ishgard. The standard of Ishgard is very symbolic. It's a shield on a backdrop of blue, likely representing Halone, the patron deity of Ishgard, who reigns over a realm of ice. The shield is divided into 4 quarters, each bearing the sigil of the 4 high houses of Ishgard. At the top of the standard sits a winged crown, which represents the Archbishop and the Church. Given Ishgard's new direction, we could well see the standard evolve for the modern era. Taking a quick airship to the east of the realm, we visit Alamigo. Their flag and standard have remained unchanged for generations, the one enduring symbol of their city-state, even under the throes of the Garlean Empire, and one which they still fly high today. The central symbol upon a field of purple is the silver griffin with a sword on its talons. The backdrop is the colour associated with Ralgar, the nation's patron deity. The griffin has forever been a symbol of the nation's royal house, whose rule ended with the Garleans. The sword signifies force, used to bring all the former clans of Alamigo under one rule. The standard lives on as a symbol of the nation's rebirth, and that of the resistance. Venturing across seas and continents to the far east, we have the nation of Doma. The green backdrop represents the rice crop for which Doma is well known, growing in its many fields. The Doman language character in the centre is that of the nation's name, which is surrounded by a red border, which represents the royal family line of Doma, and their role as the gatekeepers of the One River, which is the lifeblood of their nation. Further east via chartered ship, we have the city of Kugane. Their standard is a decorative white backdrop with the center being a unique three-waved symbol known as a tomoe, which has historic significance in Japanese history. While we don't know exactly what the symbol's meaning is to their nation, it's not actually the national standard of Higashi or the city of Kugane. Rather, it's the banner of the Mitsurugi clan, an influential power which currently rules over the nation of Higashi. This would suggest the nation doesn't have a standard at all, but a flag of representation for those who currently rule, that would change from one clan to the next. Venturing back west to the Isle of Thavnir, we have the city-state of Radz-at-han. Their standard is one of the most colourful, with blue and red being the dominant. The blue represents the Matanga, the indigenous residents of Thavnir. Red represents the people who migrated from the mainland. The center of the standard is a symbol called the Divine Eye. It's said that the eye pierces falsehoods and beholds the truth of all things. It's speculation on my part, but given what we know now of the city's founding, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a subtle nod to Vitra. I also find the colourful nature of the flag represents the alchemists of radz-at-han, which their nation is famous for. Travelling far into the north by airship and chocobo, we have what remains of the empire of Garlemald. Though a new governing body is sprouting from the ashes of the old empire, they still hold strong and proud to their national standard. As a fan of simplicity, their standard is easily my favourite. It's a backdrop of white, with a 3-link chain for its symbol. The chain links represent the unity of the Garlean people, something that's always been of central importance to them. The central link of crimson represents all those who have perished in the name of the Garlean people and their nation. The Garleans have had a harsh history, and recent events have only made their standard all the more important, unifying them together to walk again into the future. Departing to the west, we have the island nation of Sharlayan. As the legend goes, Daliak the scholar poured the waters of knowledge into his river, and the mollusks became their keeper, with many believing these creatures lived forever since time immemorial. The symbol at the center of the standard is a green spiral shell of a mollusk, meant to capture the essence of this legend on the backdrop of a field of silver. A journey to Mordona and a quick trip through the rift finds us on the first in the city of the Crystarium. Long ago, when the tower appeared and Grahatia used it as a refuge for the desperate survivors of the flood, a town and eventually a city sprang up around it. A settlement council was quickly established in these early days to help govern and guide this new community. One of the decisions they made was a flag and standard for their home, and what better symbol than the tower which gave them refuge. Their standard is a stylized representation of the Crystal Tower, the designs around it symbolizing the city that is built up around its foundations. The other great city of the first is that of Yulmore. Not long ago, Yulmore's standard was a red crown on a golden backdrop. However, after Lord Vortri became the city's mayor and protector, the city's standard was redesigned. The central symbol is a large winged crown. This symbol was meant to represent the city's harmony with the Sin Eaters under Vortri's rule. Those are the main cities we are familiar with. Now, let's head back to Aetheris and explore a few more flags and standards. Let's take a look at Bosja. Their standard looks fairly advanced and almost mathematical in its design, but the nature of it is quite simple. The central symbol of the standard is the sun, for the Bosjan people that represents a queen, who is the most significant figure in Hrothgar society. The symbols around the sun represent the Bosjan people, ever revolving around their queen and ruler, much how like the moon revolves around our star, and our star revolves around the sun. Nearby is what remains of another such great nation, that of the Kingdom of Dalmasca. Like most states, they also had a standard, but after the Garlean occupation, they forbade its citizens from ever flying the banner again. to the point we have not seen a single image of it on our travels. However, given the similarities of 14's Dalmasca with its evolution counterpart in the series, we can assume their standard was that of the Suncrest, or Suncrest as it's known in Eorzea. If you're unfamiliar, the Suncrest was a stone of great power, one of many in that world which allowed empires to rise due to their power. But those are just some of the flags and standards on Eorzea and the worlds beyond.